and welcome to Good Game, the show for gamers by gamers. I'm Barjo.
And I'm Hex. Coming up in the show, we digest more downloadable goodness and dig a path to hell with the downloadable PC game Terraria. And we'll bring you that Conduit 2 review we promised you a few weeks ago. Now they finally fixed that game-breaking bug, Barjo.
Plus, we take a look at how Duke Nukem Forever finally got finished after starting development in 1997 and only now being released in 2011.
Yes, hail to the king, baby, even if he is about 14 years late. But first, can you guess the game for this week? So, what have we got to give away this week, Barjo?
Absolutely nothing, Hex.
Really?
Yeah, I forgot.
Well, we can find something for next week though, right?
Okay.
Maybe you can do that while I go read the news?
Sure.
I can see you, Barjo.
Good game.
Federal Minister for Home Affairs Brendan O'Connor has released the guidelines for the proposed R18+ rating for video games. The guidelines specify what criteria a game needs to meet in order to earn the R18+ rating and are to be considered at the upcoming Standing Committee of Attorneys General meeting in July. O'Connor stated that games with sexually explicit, very frequent, strong and realistic violence will not be allowed the MA15+ category. Meanwhile, the Attorney General's Department has launched an online survey to gather public opinion on the new guidelines. David O. Russell, director of Academy Award-winning film The Fighter, has dropped out of the upcoming Uncharted film adaptation.
Well, so much for foreplay.
Russell was set to helm the film, but creative differences between Russell and Sony have been blamed for the amicable split.
Let's not forget who walked out on whom.
The director had drawn criticism from gamers for his interpretation of Uncharted as a story about a Sopranos-like family of treasure hunters. Mark Wahlberg was touted as lead man Nathan Drake, alongside Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci as co-stars. A director and possibly a new cast is now being sought out. Chinese prisoners have allegedly been forced into gold farming in World of Warcraft. The claims come from an ex-prisoner, Lu Dali, who served 3 years in the Jixi Detention Center in the Heilongjiang province from 2004 to 2007. Prison guards would force Lu, along with 300 others, to work 12-hour shifts in the virtual mine, earning the guards between $700 to $900 a day. It has been illegal to trade virtual currencies without a license in China since 2009. However, Lu believes these practices are still widespread. Sony has found itself the victim of continued security breaches since the large attack which took down the PlayStation Network. The most recent intrusions have targeted various Sony websites, including Sony Music Greece and Indonesia, Sony Ericsson Canada, and Sony BMG Japan. Each attack appears to have targeted basic user information, including names, usernames, and passwords. Sony's internet service Sonet was also attacked, resulting in over $1,000 worth of redeemable points, while a phishing site was also discovered on Sony's Thailand servers. It is unknown if the attacks are related.
Good game.
It could have been anyone, but it was you. You who doomed us all.
Conduit 2 is the latest in a short line of those rarest of beasts, the Wii exclusive first-person shooter.
Mr. Ford, it's kind of you to see me off, but I'm afraid you won't be following me this time.
The story continues on directly from the end of the Conduit, with Agent Michael Ford chasing down the evil John Adams and battling against the insect-like aliens, the Drudge.
This time around, the developers High Voltage have done away with any attempt at a serious storyline and instead opting for cheesy one-liners.
Ever since then, he's been trying to kill me, I've been trying to kill him. It's sort of a thing we have.
The story sees Ford trekking around the world searching for magic widgets to make him strong enough to confront John Adams in the next Conduit game.
Now, sometimes we need to bring up a spoiler warning, but in this particular case, we need to bring up a bug warning. So let's just bring that up now. Okay. If you don't take this game online and patch it, then you won't be able to get past the first stage, probably, because Conduit 2 is riddled with game-breaking bugs. Doors you need to get through fail to open, or the game might even just crash. And every time it does bug out, it corrupts your save file, so you have to start all over again. We had to play through the first level of this game 3 times just to get through it because of bugs, and it's baffling how they could release a game where the first level bugs out this much.
And while the patch might fix those horrendous bugs, it unfortunately doesn't do anything to fix the gameplay. Conduit 2 on the whole is rather pedestrian. The game takes you from an oil rig to a ruined spaceship, a destroyed Washington DC, China and beyond. But aside from the scenery, there's little to differentiate the various levels. It's all very straightforward with lots of corridors, occasionally punctuated by a larger arena-style area with a variety of both human and alien enemies.
Yeah, and the mission design isn't much more exciting. It's all go here, flick a switch, hack this. The original Conduit had some nice puzzle ideas based around the all-seeing eye, but this time around it's pretty much just a universal key.
Adam seems to be preparing for all-out war.
One of the things that can really make a good FPS stand out is great enemy AI. You won't find any of that here. The AI is pretty stupid at the best of time, either cycling through a few set motions or just charging at you. But even worse, sometimes it just ignores your presence, even when you're doing everything possible to try and get their attention.
It would be nice to say that the multiplayer component redeems this game somewhat, but unfortunately we just could not get enough games with enough people to accurately form an assessment of it.
And the process of searching for a game to jump into is pretty depressing also. The matchmaker starts off by searching for ideal players, and then it searches for close players, and then it searches for anyone at all that will want to play this game with you.
At least it's trying though, and at least that functionality is there, even if no one is playing. There's a handful of split-screen multiplayer modes which we tried out. There's a cooperative horde mode that sees you hunting down waves of enemies, as well as a handful of competitive modes, including deathmatch and a rather bizarre balloon mode, much like the Mario Kart balloon mode, but with guns instead of fun. We just couldn't find any reason to stick with these. If you are playing in split screen, you'll want everyone to be using a classic controller because in split screen, the Wiimote is particularly painful.
I tried all of the different control systems, Wiimote, Wiimotion Plus, and the classic controller, and I definitely think the classic controller is by far the best and most accurate. You can do a lot of customizing with the sensitivity of the pointer for the Wiimote, but no matter what I did, it still didn't feel anywhere near as accurate as dual thumbsticks.
Yeah, definitely. Also, I thought the actual button assignment on the classic controller was pretty weak. It's okay if you've got the Pro one, but if you're stuck with one of these little babies, they've assigned the fire button to the smallest of shoulder buttons. Why? Why? Why?
Well, everything about Conduit 2 is pretty sloppy, Barjo. I mean, the presentation is rough at best. Basic soldier models look decent, but the drudge models often look pretty awful.
Please don't shoot.
The worst character model, though, has to be Andromeda, the token hot chick alien warrior woman scientist who wears armor everywhere but her cleavage.
Damn, Andromeda is a stone-cold fox.
Prometheus! Show yourself, you traitor!
I think the voice acting is just as bad as the visuals, Hex. Johnson John, the voice of Duke Nukem, who plays Michael Ford, phones in some pretty awful one-liners.
Michael, look out!
For once I'm glad that I missed a train.
The rest of the cast isn't much better, but I think it's probably about time we wrap this up, Hex.
Well, I think this one is destined for the bargain bin, Barjo. I mean, unpatched it's broken, and patched it's just plain dull. And the multiplayer is uninspired, so that's no saving grace. I'm giving it 4 out of 10 rubber chickens.
It's just a shame that we get our hands on a mature Wii FPS and it becomes as forgettable as this. Just everything, the look and the feel of this game just feels like it's 10 years old. So I'm giving it 3 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Good game.
Right, let's dive in now and swim through the quandary of queries that is Ask Good Game. First up, we've got some unicorn hunting from High Voltage in Perth, Western Australia.
Hey GG, I need your help on Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare. I've looked everywhere for the unicorn with no luck. Please help me. Well, we can certainly point you in the right direction, High Voltage, but before the unicorn will spawn, you'll need to have completed a few things. First up, you'll have to hunt down and kill the Chupacabra. And to find him, you need to be up to the Undead Hunter level 5 challenge.
And you'll need to have completed the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse challenges by finding death, war, pestilence, and famine.
Once you've ticked all that off, the unicorn will spawn, so saddle up and ride northwest of Torquemada. Canter around for a bit and you should soon get the message a mythical creature has appeared in the area. Then just keep your eyes open for a horse with rainbows spewing out the back and that's your unicorn. Break it in and he's yours to ride.
Okay, next up we have this one from American Dad 000 in Melbourne, Victoria. Hey, good game. I was wondering if you could get mounts on Order and Chaos, and if so, at what level?
Unfortunately, American Dad, Order and Chaos has no mounts, at least not at the moment, but you never know, it could very well come out as a feature in an update somewhere down the line. That said, the latest update had no mention of mounts, so if they are coming, they're a ways off at least.
You can get pets at Lilivia's pet store in Greenmount though, but they're just for looks and completely useless. Alright, moving on to this one from Peabody in Sydney, New South Wales. Dear Barju and Hex, I'm just inquiring as, do we ever find out who the man writing on the walls in Portal 1 and 2 is? Thanks heaps.
Well, Peabody, there are several hints in the game as to who is behind the crazy writing, but the answers are actually revealed in a free 2-part web comic called Labrat. Just do an internet search for Portal Labrat and you'll find it.
But the quick answer is that they're made by an escaped Aperture science scientist known as Ratman, and he's clearly gone completely crazy after spending years hiding from GLaDOS, but yeah, you can find out much more in the comic. And with that, we're done for the week, so if you have something that we think you can help us with, then set it here. That was right.
No.
Good game.
It's time to kick ass and chew bubble gum. I'm all out of gum.
They say the bigger they are, the harder they fall. And in the world of gaming, no one was bigger or fell harder than the king himself, Duke Nukem. So what happened? Well, let's take a look back at how it all began. It was 1991 when we first met our blonde-haired, cigar-chomping friend as he set out to stop the evil Dr. Proton from taking over the world with an army of tech bots. Most men would cower from such a challenge, but not our Duke. He had a world to save and an episode of Oprah to catch. It may look like pretty basic side-scrolling action to us now, but it was one of the must-have PC games of the time. So it was no surprise that in 1993, we found ourselves back in the fray with Duke Nukem 2.
I am back.
This time around, Duke was rudely abducted by aliens while spruiking his autobiography, Why I'm So Great, on his favourite chat show. But these weren't your everyday wham-bam probu-mam aliens. These guys were out to use Duke's brain to enslave the whole Earth. And I'm sure you can guess how Duke felt about that. Cue ass-kicking. In 1996, we got the Duke's third big adventure, and it was one that would forever cement his place in gaming's Hall of Legends.
Sometimes I even amaze myself.
With aliens attacking Los Angeles and mutating policemen into pigs, the Duke had his work cut out for him. But in a world full of Doom clones, Duke 3D's crass humour, highly interactive world, over-the-top weapons,
Down.
risque environments,
Shake it, baby.
and cutting-edge graphics made it stand out from the pack as something rather special. In fact, it stood out so much that it was refused classification here in Australia and as a result censored. But funny story, when the OFLC found out 3D Realms had a patch that unlocked the uncensored version, they tried to pull the game off store shelves. Unfortunately for them, they had been told about the patch during the submission process and couldn't back out of the applied rating. Chalked another one up for Duke.
Damn, I'm good.
Following the massive success of Duke 3D, developer 3D Realms wasted no time announcing the follow-up, and in 1997, Duke Nukem Forever was officially underway. Best of all, we were told we would be playing it in just one short year.
Damn, I make this look good.
But things were about to go very wrong. Developer 3D Realms wanted nothing but the best, and with pockets full of cash from Duke 3D's success, they spent a big chunk of it licensing id Software's Quake 2 engine, figuring it would ultimately save time and money.
Shit happens.
However, the results were not what they wanted, and Epic had just released their impressive Unreal Engine, so work on the game started over again with brand new tech.
Time for a reboot.
Things went a little bit quiet and we started to assume the worst.
Game over.
Until 2000, when Take-Two Interactive bought the publishing rights and it seemed like things may just be back on track. It was in 2001 when we got our next peek of Duke, and things were looking really good. Other than the ominous when it's done release date, it looked like we were on the verge of finally playing the game. While it seemed like the end was in sight, series creator George Broussard still wanted more from the game. Some employees from 3D Realms have since stated that Broussard's unbridled ambition meant he didn't have a clear vision for the final game, even by this point. Not to mention the dwindling staff, with only 18 people working on the game by 2003. 3D Realms simply hadn't scaled up to the large, big-budget studio that it needed to be. And so we waited, continually drip-fed assurances the game was still being made, and with only a handful of so-so console spin-offs to keep us entertained. The King was starting to feel a bit like a relic, a forgotten hero of PC gaming past. But then, another glimmer of hope in 2006, as Broussard claimed the game was finished and simply needed a bit of spit and polish. By this point, most of us had written Duke Nukem Forever off as pure vaporware. Duke Nukem for never, or DNF did not finish. It felt like Broussard was just taking the piss in true Duke style.
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't just gamers who had run out of patience. Publisher Take-Two was annoyed by the continuous delays, but had little bargaining power with 3D Realms, as the game was being funded entirely from the developer's own pockets. And then 3D Realms staff began to jump ship.
The work environment sucks, but I bet the benefits are nice.
Tired of not being able to put a single game from the last decade on their resume. 2007 brought renewed hope as the first new video in 6 years emerged, and the development team doubled in size. For the first time in a long time, it seemed like the wait may finally be over. And so the team knuckled down and got to work.
I'm looking for some alien toilet to park my bricks. Who's first?
Sadly though, it was too little too late, and the team found itself running out of money, having already spent more than 20 million of their own dollars on the project. So they turned to Take-Two and asked for another 6 million to get the game finished. Take-Two told them, how about 2.5 mil now, 2.5 mil when you're done. But Broussard rejected the offer.
Quit wasting my time.
And in May 2009, the development team was laid off and work on Duke Nukem Forever suspended.
Son of a bitch!
It was a sad ending, but after so many years of waiting, it was hardly surprising. It seemed the game would finally be put to rest, never to see the light of an LCD screen. Over the following months, gamers were treated to glimpses of the seemingly mythical beast as ex-3D Realm employees showed off snippets of what they'd actually been working on all those years. It seemed the Duke just wouldn't die, and in fact, even without a development team, the project was not dead. While the world scoffed at the idea, a small team of 9 programmers continued to work on the game from their homes. This ragtag bunch went on to give themselves a company name, Triptych Games. What was left of 3D Realms approached Gearbox Software to see if they could help resurrect Duke from his digital limbo.
When we first thought about whether or not to get involved, there were certainly people within the studio that, wondered, is this too much of a risk? And we had to think really deeply about it. It's like you're on a road or something and the car in front of you just wrecks. And it's like, okay, you're gonna keep driving or you're gonna stop and help? But in this case, the car that wrecked was, there's people inside we care about. I mean, Duke is something that everybody in this industry, cares about, gamers care about.
Please help us.
A lot of people don't know this, but I actually worked with Duke before. I moved to Texas and became a professional game maker when I joined the 3D Realms team and became part of Duke Nukem 3D. So I felt like I had a special connection with the people in that car wreck. But we weren't just in a car, right? At Gearbox, it's like we have an ambulance. And we have all the tools inside necessary to deal with that. And I wasn't alone. We have a whole ambulance full of doctors and surgeons and people that are capable of dealing with this kind of situations. It made a lot of sense for us to be the ones to make sure that the Duke didn't have to die, the Duke could live.
And so, at the Penny Arcade Expo in 2010, the gaming world stood slack-jawed in disbelief as Randy Pitchford not only said Gearbox would be finishing the game, but they had a playable demo and a release window to prove it.
Just in time.
Which brings us to 2011, and after confirming the game would be out on May 3rd, just to keep with tradition, Gearbox announced that Duke Nukem Forever was delayed. But it was only one more month we'd have to wait, and now that time is up. It's been 14 years since Duke 3D, and while we've explored various spin-offs with the Duke, we finally have the true sequel we've been waiting for. But in that time, we've also seen innovation in technology and storytelling. Games like Half-Life, Halo, and Call of Duty have more than filled the void left by our king. So is there still a place for Duke Nukem in this brave new world? I guess we'll find out next week.
Your face, your ass. What's the difference?
Good game.
When a game is successful, you can almost guarantee that it will be copied, sequeled, expanded upon, twisted, recreated, until we're all sick to death of it, and then it'll just get rebooted. The first Minecraft-inspired game has been released even before Minecraft itself has been officially finished, and it's called Terraria.
Now, we reviewed this already on Spawn Point, but this tiny little game has proved so popular that it's taken over the lives of just about everyone on the Good Game team, so we thought it deserved a little bit more attention.
Obsessed.
Get down. Oh, quickly. Oh, no, don't go down. Oh, there's more stuff. Oh, God.
Terraria is a world of peril and wonder and freaking scary worms that can go through walls.
There's no time. Oh, who let the worm in?
But mostly, it's about discovery. You'll spend much of your time mining and searching for mats, building your house, pimping it out, and taking on a variety of beasties along the way. This game is focused heavily on loot and gear rather than the bare-bones creationism of Minecraft, but there's still plenty to discover. In fact, we're still finding new things every session.
Yeah, every time I log on, someone's got something better than me. It's so frustrating. I figure as long as I've got stuff better than at least one other person, I'll keep playing. Because this is in 2D, you can see what's around you, so nothing creeps up on you like it does in Minecraft. And it's especially important to get the widescreen patch, I think. Beware, it's not official, but you just see so much more of the screen. The interface is a bit fiddly though, kind of like Minecraft, and I found all the time I was accidentally losing something or dropping it, and I lost my teleporting mirror last night. I'm so upset about it, Hex, and I don't know where it is, so it's worth remapping Q, which is the default for drop, and I just thought the whole interface could have been a bit more user-friendly.
It is pretty forgiving if you die though, I thought. I mean, you don't lose all of your gear, but you do lose some cash, so it's worthwhile making a little piggy bank to store your money in. Crafting options appear automatically when you have the right ingredients, so you can venture out, grab as much stuff as you can, and when you return to your home or die, you can probably make something new. I especially loved that items don't wear out, and you also don't have to trawl through a wiki online to learn how to make stuff.
When we found out that you can make a grappling hook, it just sped the entire game up, so it's well worth doing that, I think. Plus, you can pretend to be Batman as you swing about in the caves.
Yeah, and I just loved going out on excursions, and if you take a friend with you, you can make it like an express one-way tunnel to hell. I mean, you can grapple your way out of it, but it takes ages. It's quicker just to die.
Yeah. And Hex, the greed that this game brings out on you. When you're all tunneling together and everyone spots a piece of gold or some topaz and everyone's just trying to frantically get towards it.
There's not much of it.
That could be good though. We could. Oh, that's good.
Gold.
If we leave, don't.
I want the gold. I want the gold. Oh no, hit the wrong button. No, I can see anything! No, I can't even see, we just want it.
That's crazy.
I don't think I've ever experienced such frantic loot greed as I have in Terraria. You just know that everyone's just chatting away on voice chat quite happily, and all of a sudden somebody goes really quiet. You know they've spotted a chest or something.
What you got there?
What you got there?
What you doing over there?
I really enjoyed that just slow, careful mining where you take a bed and some wood and you can build a little temporary house underground. And you can put a swimming pool in it, of course. And the careful placement of blocks behind you so no nasty skellies or blobs fall on your head mid-excavation. Making a house can be fiddly. You need to patch up every crack in the wall or it just won't set a save point. Also, when making the back wall, you need to use all the same mineral there or it just won't work, and that took us a while to figure out.
Creation isn't the main focus here like it is in Minecraft, I guess, but it still counts for something to expand your base and experiment. If you build extra rooms in your house, NPCs will spawn. A merchant who you can buy nifty gear from, a nurse who can heal you. Certain items use mana, and to get mana bars, you'll need to collect a whole bunch of stars, but there are also heaps of other magical items that you can just pick up and use, such as speedy boots.
Dave, I want fast boots.
I want the world. I want the whole world.
A double jump, and also this fantastic boomerang, which my friend Mort gave me, which my friend Pierreth enchanted to make it a flamerang. I found the more I played, everyone else was just busily going about their work, you know, building elevators and nice homes and collecting all the minerals and everything they could, but for me, it was just all about the mischief.
Yes, the more I get to know you, Bajo, I've discovered that you're more of a minister for shenanigans than a helpful, constructive member of the team.
It's an important role.
I found that I just get hand-me-downs every time I logged in. Thanks for the copper outfit, guys. In Terraria, you're compelled to explore, and there's always some promise of new mats or undiscovered caves to see, or the challenge of summoning Cthulhu, the giant eyeball of doom. Boss fights are tough, and you'll need to be geared, but it is pretty easy to work out which zone is optimal for your mining and gear level. Zombies bashing on your door is really stressful, and when the moon goes red, it's time to defend your homes. Once you start getting into the tougher zones, some of the enemies can get pretty cheap though, especially those fire imps that can shoot through walls.
So mean! I hate those guys. And it doesn't help that the animations are a little bit cheap as well. But you kind of forgive that, you know, because this is just immediate fun. You jump in with friends and it's a 16 meg download and it's not that expensive, and you can just have that immediate fun without the stress and the learning curve of Minecraft.
You can turn on PvP and kill each other, but it's not really that much fun.
So Iron is...
You got PvP still on.
You are so shit.
More because I think this game makes you want to work together with the rewards as they are.
Yeah. Also, it's much more fun just trapping people.
Oh, I've trapped him! Okay, I'm coming! Oh, God. I can't even move.
And dropping lava on their heads.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, lava! Oh. You bastard! Look at the mayhem.
So rude.
We should wrap this up though. My only real complaint here is in the multiplayer connectivity side of things. There's no online server, so someone always has to have a computer running, and there's no server browser, and there's no join other person's game. So all that is really underdeveloped. But even so, I had a great time here, Hex. I'm giving this 8.5 out of 10 rubber chickens.
You know, I think it's amazing when you think about the caliber and quality of games that we as a group of people working on the show get to play. And every night I log on and everyone's playing friggin' Terraria. It's almost absurd, but I don't think a game has really brought us all together like this since Red Dead Redemption, so I'm giving it 8.5 as well.
Good game.
So did you guess the game for this week?
It's Paperboy, but the Nintendo 64 version that was released in 1999, developed by High Voltage Software, who brought us the Wii shooter Conduit 2.
Well, Bajo, I better go and pack my bags because next week I'm going to be jetting off to the madness that is the E3 Expo in Los Angeles. It's the biggest gaming industry event in the world and it's going to be amazing.
Have an excellent time, Hex, and while you're away, the delightful Andrew Bindi Hansen from The Chaser will be filling in to co-host with me, and we'll be trawling through all the latest games such as Infamous 2 and Duke Nukem Forever and Hunted and Alice the Madness Returns. It's a shame you're going to miss out on all those games, Hex.
It is a shame. I guess I'll just have to settle for playing Skyrim, Battlefield 3, Bioshock Infinite, the new NGP and the new Nintendo console, and let's not forget Assassin's Creed Revelations. Oh, I'm so excited. Hex out.
I want to play Battlefield.
This is my E3 dance.
I want to play Battlefield.